Okay, so you can see the title.
Yes.
Okay, okay. So, hello, everyone, and hello, Dr. Sharif. So this is part three of the podcast about my personal tragedy. And so, if you listen to the first two, first one was about my life looking after Kotoko like a princess for over 10 years. And the second part, we talked about what happened during the pandemic when we were in Australia. And now I want to tell you about the final shocking backstabbing that happened, where Kotoko, my daughter, backstabbed me. And not just that, my whole family uh, also were part of the backstabbing, including my mother. So it's very, very shocking. So I had a job in Japan as a professor, and I was going to. So I was actually thinking maybe I should stay in Australia because we had already been living in Australia for about 2 years because of the pandemic and the border closures from the pandemic. And I was thinking maybe we should stay in Australia since it's actually Australia is a very good country to live, and I didn't really feel like going back to Japan again uh, because I had already worked in Japan as a engineer in Mitsubishi, as a professor in Keio University. So this would be the third time to go back to Tokyo, and nothing really was attractive about going back to Tokyo again. Anyway, so I booked a ticket on Cathay Pacific, which could be cancelled up until the last minute, so I could change my mind, even at the last minute, Sharif, right? I could change it and I could cancel it. Um, and then I actually asked, I didn't realize that my whole family were plotting and planning behind my back with Kotoko that she's gonna secretly leave and backstab me. But I didn't realize that at the time because, of course, everyone trusts their mother, right, and their family, Sharif, right? But in my case, I didn't realize that everyone was lying to me. So I asked my mother, my grandfather, my auntie, and they all said, "Oh no, no, you got to go to Japan. Like it's a fantastic job, a professor in Tokyo. You got to go back. You got to go. How can you give it up, etc., etc." But actually, they just wanted me to go to Japan because they had already planned for Kotoko to secretly leave me after 10 years of looking after her. And you know what? I trusted, Sharif, I trusted Kotoko 1,000,000%. Every word she said, I would never doubt her or, think that she lied to me. Also trusted my family, but especially I trusted Kotoko. Anyway, the last day, Sharif, I actually changed my mind. I thought, oh, maybe I don't really want to go to Japan. Maybe I want to stay in Australia. So when I was going to cancel the flights, but suddenly my mother called me twice saying, "Oh, you must go to Japan. You must go to Japan." Then my grandfather called me. And my grandfather, he's quite old, so I normally always listen to what he says. And I didn't realize that they had all been secretly planning with Kotoko that I must go back to Japan and she's going to secretly backstab me and leave me after I trusted her, after I looked after her like a princess everywhere all around the world. I took her in business class. She saw all the greatest sights. And not only that, every day I used to take her boxing, archery, horse riding. Even during the pandemic, we you know, we didn't we were very scared of coronavirus, but we still, went out to dinner with my supervisor and his daughter, who was Goto's friend, and another friend had a daughter, uh, Paul. So, everything I did for her. Anyway, we got to Japan, and I had no idea what's going on. They were planning, they were planning like a tragedy of Shakespeare. They were planning this lie, big, huge lie, and secretly behind my back. So we stayed for a few weeks uh, at a Japanese lady's house. We rented it. I knew the lady. Anyway, Kotoko suddenly, remember everything seemed perfect. We flew to Japan on business class. Kotoko enjoyed the business class. She was watching movies and, sleeping in the flat bed and in the business class. If I knew that she is planning to backstab me, why would I fly her in business class again? I mean, unbelievable. If I was her, I would feel so shameful, so guilty because I paid thousands of dollars for her flight, and she was gonna just secretly backstab me just a few weeks later. Anyway, I knew nothing, of course, at that time, Sharif. I knew nothing. I knew nothing. But I tell you, afterwards, then I realized everything, right? But this is how it happened. Suddenly, one day, she said, I want to write a short story. Can I write it on your phone? And I said to her, why would you write a story on my phone? I mean, why don't you write a piece of paper and, like the old days? And she wrote it. And the story that she wrote was called The Promise. Now, remember this because this was all part of the secret plan. So everything went well. I thought I didn't realize that they were planning to backstab me. Her mother, my family. We used to go every day walking, go to the beach. I bought her fishing rods and everything. If she wanted to go fishing. Anyway, I didn't think twice about this story. I mean, would you, Sharif? I mean, like I said, I trusted Kotoko totally. Why would I think this is anything strange? But she said she wanted to use my phone to write a story. Now, this is you got to remember this. This is almost like a criminal plot. I think about 2 weeks later, I fell asleep. It was very cold, and I fell asleep. Saturday night. And she wakes me up and she goes, "Oh, I was looking at your phone for my short story." And I said to her, "Why are you looking on my phone?" And I thought the short story you wrote it on a paper. She goes, "Oh, no, no, I used Evernote to scan it onto your phone." And then she goes, this is all bullshit, Sharif, right? This is all bullshit, right? You understand, right? It's just bullshit story, right? Uh, you understand, right, Sharif?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then anyway, she goes, so I was searching for my story called The Promise, and then I realized that you promised Emma. Emma was one of my students long, long time ago in Singapore. Not my student, but she used to come to my lab to work. She was the undergraduate. And she goes, you promised to marry her. And I said to her, why are you looking at my phone? And why would you scan your story called The Promise? And why would you find this letter promising that I marry Emma? And I said, and at the time, I didn't realize it was all planned, Sharif. She was planning from 2 weeks ago because she said, I'm going to write a story and I want to use your phone. So obviously, she was planning this ridiculous reason, right, to cause a fight. Anyway, I said to her, look, even if I promised Emma to marry her, number one, I haven't seen your mother's disappeared for 10 years. So, and also, it's not like I promised to marry you and I didn't do it. I promised to marry Emma, but I didn't do it. So, why would it affect you? Why does it affect you at all, right? Anyway, she kept nagging me and saying bad things and saying terrible things and saying, she said to me, "Oh, why don't you kill me? Why don't you kill me?" And I said to her, "What? When did I say I want to kill you? It's ridiculous, right?" Anyway, um, this fight just exploded because she obviously had planned to start a big fight, Sharif. She had planned it, right? She had planned to start a big fight. Anyway, she kept going on, and I was fixing her phone. I was putting a SIM card in her phone, and I didn't realize, that this fight is gonna just explode. She kept saying bad things and terrible things, and I'm gonna kill myself. And I don't know in Muslim religion, Sharif, but in Greek Orthodox, killing yourself is a very, very bad sin. I'm not sure in Muslim, is it same in Muslim religion?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's a very bad sin because God is the only person who can decide when you die, right? When you're born and die.
Yes.
Uh, anyway, she said that and said it again and again, and in the end, I just couldn't take it. It was like about maybe more than 1 hour of fighting. And I went to her and I said, I'm not, and she said, kill me. I said, I'm not going to kill you. But I got so angry. I hit her on the arm twice. I punched her in the arm twice. Not very hard, but that's exactly what she wanted. She wanted to make me so angry that I would hit her. And anyway, this is all planned out. It was all planned out that I would get angry and I would hit her. Anyway, I said to her, look, enough is enough. You go and sleep, and I'll go and sleep. Anyway, she went to sleep and I went to sleep, and her alarm went off at about 7 o'clock in the morning. And I said, why did you put an alarm for 7 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday? Sunday is a holiday, right? In Japan. I know in Muslim countries Sunday is a work day, but in Japan it's a holiday. And she goes, "Oh no, it was a mistake." So I just went to sleep again. And I woke up, and then I woke up about 9:30, and she was gone. And she left a letter she left a letter saying, "I'm leaving because you don't want me to live with you anymore," right? Which is bull. It's just a rubbish lie. Her mother had instructed her to make sure she writes a letter and leaves it there so that the police will know that Kotoko left because I wanted her to leave because she wrote that letter, right? It was all rubbish. Anyway, I ran out to the street. I called for her name, but she was gone. Then the only person I knew where they were was the grandparents, her grandparents. I didn't know where was her mother, Midori. She never told me. Never told me, right? Anyway, I rushed there with a taxi. It was about 2 hour drive. It cost me about a few $100s because taxis in Japan are very expensive. Then when I went to the grandparents' house, you can't believe it, Sharif. I called up my mother. I said, "Kotoko's disappeared." And my mother said, "Adrian, you can't control Kotoko anymore. She's going to live her own life." And then I realized, Sharif, my mother was in the plot. This whole backstabbing me, lying to me, cheating to me. Not only Kotoko did it, but my mother was involved, and of course, Kotoko's mother was involved. Anyway, they went to the police all day long, and they said all these lies about me, like I'm violent. Like they made me out like a violent man, almost like a murderer. They said all this rubbish to the police, and in Japan. The police, they believe. the Japanese people, they're very racist, right? And I said to the police, we had a fight. It wasn't like I'm violent, it's a violent person. Like, like they made it sound like I hit Kotoko every day. But, it was all rubbish. They said this thing to the police. They said terrible things about me. And anyway, they had planned this. They had planned to go to the police. They had planned that I had a big fight with Kotoko so they could tell that to the police and they could say, oh, he hit her on the arm. Uh, it was all planned out, Sharif. It was like the worst lying, cheating, backstabbing, all a lie, all lies and cheating, not only from Kotoko, but from my family as well, my own mother, and it was all a lie. And this is what's I read books now, and this is a classic case of brainwashing, parental alienation. It's called parental alienation, and I've been speaking to a psychologist who's an expert in parental alienation. I told him the whole story. I've been seeing him almost every week for a year and a half, and he said, "You know what? You are, because I told him the whole story. He said, in America, at the most, they would never say you're violent. At the most, the judge would send you to like a course on anger management. At the most, if it was in America. But in Japan, they made it like I'm a violent man. All rubbish. And I'm not sure if I remember last week, but I think I told you that Kotoko got very upset about when I cut her hair during the pandemic. I cut her hair. It was in the park and it was dark in the nighttime. And she said we had this big fight and she said I'm gonna kill myself. I'm gonna jump off the balcony. And I was so worried. I grabbed her back and I dragged her back into the house, into the apartment. And you know what they said to the police, Sharif? They said
Yeah.
they said I'm so violent. I dragged her I dragged her on the ground in the house. But they didn't say the first part, which Kotoko was going to jump off the balcony, right? So they just maliciously used things and they didn't say the whole truth. I was so worried that God was going to jump off the balcony that I, grabbed her and of course I dragged her into the house, but it was because she said I'm going to commit suicide. Anyway, after this, Sharif, as you know, I called you and I think you tried to talk to Kotoko. Your wife tried to talk to Kotoko, right? Remember?
Yes. Yes.
Anyway, this was a terrible plot, terrible tragedy, and the most unbelievable backstabbing, lies, cheating, backstabbing. Anyway, they lied, cheated, backstabbed me, and for 3 years now, Kotoko has not contacted me at all. Even after all I did for her in my whole life, she didn't contact me at all. My family, my mother, all of them for 3 years have not contacted me at all. So I would say, absolute misery for me, absolute misery because there's no closure. She just disappeared, never contacted me. There's nothing I can say and ask her why, it just she left in secret with a backstabbing and lying and cheating. So it's just total misery for 3 years. Absolute misery. She still hasn't contacted me. My family hasn't contacted me. So this maybe my whole life will be the biggest tragedy of my life, the biggest backstabbing. So that's the whole truth, Sharif. And I called you, your wife, and you tried to help me, but it was impossible. So that's it,
Yes,
Sharif.
Professor. Yeah,
That's it.
yes,
That's it. And I'm not sure if you have any comment to say.
yeah. No, thank you. I think from your story we can learn, and maybe I will request Kotoko if she watch the video, she can come back to you. She can celebrate with you, or she can meet with you. That is the way I think these problems, these long-term problems, can we can solve.
Yes.
And I request all of the parents, you can learn from this story. And yeah, so thank you, everyone.
Yeah. And the thing is, uh, it's unbelievable that this kind of thing can happen in real life. Tragedy, backstabbing from Kotoko, lying and cheating from Kotoko, lying and cheating from my own family, my own mother. It's incredible it can happen in a real life. But you can read this in Shakespeare and King Lear. His daughter backstabbed him, but this happened in the real life, Sharif. This happened to me.
Yeah, yes, yes, I understand, and we are sorry about that. Hopefully we can be a good friends and we can help each other.
Okay. Thank you for being a
Yeah,
great friend. And you helped me from the first day to, when the backstabbing happened, you were trying to help me, your wife was trying to help me. Thank you very much for being a great friend. Thank you very much.
thank you, thank you,
Okay.
thank you, take
All
care.
right.